Шановні колеги, ми
Dear colleagues, we continue our working day. The topic of our next briefing, the blockade of Donbass means treason. Our guests are Yuriy Grymchak, advisor to the Minister of Temporarily Occupied Territories and IDPs of Ukraine, and Volodymyr Babenko, former commander of the anti-tank platoon of Special Purpose Donbass battalion, and Volodymyr Shylov, former commander of Donetsk company Dnipro 1 battalion, lieutenant colonel. And Olena Luneva, coordinator of the legal aid programs Vostok SOS and Georgia. Friends, our topic today is the blockade which veterans and activists today are holding in Donetsk and Lugansk regions. We want to tell today what is happening in Avdiivka these days. In fact, this is the scenario which would happen if the blockade of the whole territory uncontrolled by the government will continue. In Avdiivka, they do not have water supply, electricity. The city of Donetsk is without water supply. Today it is cut from the network of water supply. And if we look at this, the disruption of relations with territories out of control, they bring very serious consequences to both territories controlled and uncontrolled by the government. What we mean? Ukraine consumes about 9 million tons of anthracite coal, which is mined in the territory which is not controlled by the government today. This is our minerals, and our people all talks about trade relationships between occupants, terrorists, and Ukraine. This is not true because all enterprises from which we take this coal, they are registered in the territory of Ukraine. They pay taxes in the territory of Ukraine. Salaries and wages in the uncontrolled territories, they are paid to bank cards of Ukrainian banks. Any financial relations with occupational administration in power there, there are no relations with them. All financial relations go through Ukrainian banking system inside of Ukraine, because the territory does not have banking system at all. This is the first thing I wanted to say. During recent days, I heard many told why the cogeneration stations which work on grade A coal, they are not upgraded, but this is lie. We are in the process of modernization of 2 boilers at cogeneration plant Zugivsky, but this means that 6 months this boiler is not in operation. This means 3 billions of lost profits, 3 billion hryvnias. In April, one boiler will start operation again, will restart its operation. Tripilska coal thermal power plant, it also works on anthracite grade A coal. This will also start modernization. We have problems related with blockade of railway lines. This means that we leave our citizens without assistance, those citizens who live in the territories not controlled by Ukrainian government. So economic and financial indicators in the controlled territories they will better, they say. So those who activists who support this blockade and initiate this blockade and implement this blockade, they work on this side and to the benefit of Russian side, Gazprom company. The blockade is physically impossible. I said that already. We have the city of Mariupol where 1 million of citizens reside now, where there are metallurgical plants and machine building plants and seaport, all those persons who are involved in blockades. Water supply to Mariupol is provided via Siversky Donetsk Donbass channel. So if we break relations completely, the first consequence will be Donetsk without water supply, but the second city which will lose water supply would be Mariupol. Starobeshevska TETS, Starobeshevska thermal power plant, it receives gas via uncontrolled territory. Once the relations are broken between our Ukrainian enterprises, which are located in uncontrolled and controlled territories, this would mean the consequences like today, Avdiivka without water supply, but the next city which will lose water supply would be Mariupol. Mariupol, I would like to remind you, have nearly 1 million of people living there. So today, those who call to blockade our enterprises, our factories, to my mind, they are betraying our country. These offers, they are counter the interests of Ukraine. They are to the benefit of the occupying country. Russia last year didn't want to supply coal to Ukrainian thermal power plants, but they had to do so because under the pressure from other countries. Russian Federation supplied coal to Ukraine. And finally, any destroying of railway tracks in the rear of our military troops could be qualified by lawyers as criminal, as a crime, sabotage crime. A Parasukant company exploded the railway tracks. This should be investigated and criminal proceedings should be initiated because the consequences in future could be very serious. Today they explode railway at 5 kilometer distance to the front line, and tomorrow they can blast something in Kharkiv. So that some freight do not get uncontrolled territories. And I'm giving the floor to Mr. Volodymyr Babenko. Dear audience, first of all, I was the commander of the anti-tank platoon of Special Forces Donbass battalion. Today I'm a deputy of Bilotserkivsk City Council. You know that in Avdiivka 5 soldiers of 72 2nd Brigade deceased. They are our heroes from Bilotserkivsk. But today we have another topic of the briefing. I have a statement. The deputy submission to Верховна Rada of Ukraine, Semen Semenchenko, has been drawing lots of attention. The weight in public area he received by disinforming about his past, and he lied to the society, and these lies should be investigated, and the public, general public, and the MPs and deputies of other councils at local level should respond. The military prosecutor's office proved that he does not have officer status. Administrative courts researched and found that he does not have higher education, and that he had criminal sentences, and now he is the deputy head of defense committee at the Верховна Rada of Ukraine, and has access to state state secrets. So we call on the deputies to limit his access to the state secrets by dismissing him from this office. On June 10th, 2014, Konstantin Grishin, now he is Semen Semenchenko, he left the place of battle, and four our soldiers from Bilotserkivsk, they died there. The Baltseva documentary, if you watch it, Petro Poroshenko, our supreme commander, he is saying in this documentary that Semen Semenchenko provided the leakage of information. That is why those persons died. And now I would like to emphasize that since autumn 2014 we have been reporting to the military prosecutor's office and the security service of Ukraine. We are sure that he was trained in Moscow and he is a double agent. So the situation in Avdiivka, in fact, it was simulated by two sides. This is our opinion. He has access to secret information, and our supreme commander knows this, and military prosecutors Matthias, he knows this, and the head of security service of Ukraine, he also knows this. All of them knows who he is, but they are doing nothing. They do not respond, and the enterprises registered in Ukraine, which are in operation in the territories not controlled by the government, and they produce coal, which is very much needed for Ukraine. We have the plants in Donetsk which produce refrigerators and gas stoves. We buy refrigerators from abroad, and in Lugansk, the plants were stopped, and if these two plants in operation in Donetsk, it is good for us if they are in operation. Otherwise, the terrorists will take out all the equipment from those two plants and move it to Russia. We should support our youth. We should say our Ukrainians from occupied territories that they can come to our territory, which is controlled. We demand from the Supreme Command, the Security Service and Military Prosecutor's Office to give assessment of the actions of such deputies.
Volodymyr Shylov is given the floor. I'm going to speak Russian. It's easier for me. Maybe I will say unpleasant things. Let's start with the fact that in our country at the moment we have a vacuum of power, and it is in all situations that happen in our territory. This is firing in Kняжичи, and let's say battle near Dnipropetrovsk, they used grenade and firearm. This is the lack of power, and they also stop railway traffic. I know a lot about the work of the railroad. So if the movement is blocked, so they can just block the signal system. And I cannot understand. For deputies, representatives of legislative power, they play guerrillas, and they didn't have any initiative in the Supreme Council in order to do something in a legal way. I understand that the whole responsibility should be on the president because he didn't adhere to law. There are a lot of requirements he does not meet. And for deputies, they could introduce a document about blocking. If there is ADO, so there should be special groups. But now army is in operation. If we include army in this operation, it means that this is war, and we should provide the proper status to this operation. And in 2016, enterprises registered in Ukraine but placed in the territory of the AT operation, they paid 31 billion of taxes.
Я вполне думаю, что точно такую же сумму получил.
Same sum was provided, I believe, to this occupied territory. So $1 billion they got for the development and support of military actions with Ukraine. Why it happened so? Why no one responded on this? The system of payment is also strange. For the coal, Rotterdam Plus, we do not know who, where, when pays. Strange system of payment with the enterprises that work on that territory. I clearly understand that the money is provided to Ukrainian bank accounts, and we do not know how they are provided to these territories. Maybe it is done in cash, because the workers who work in mines and in factories, they get their salary in hryvnias. So this blocking in winter can lead to blackout of energy systems. It can result in destruction of all communal services. So if they now stop the supply of electricity, then the boilers and stations would stop, and in such low temperatures, everything will freeze. What will be done next? Alchevsk will reappear when everything stopped there. You remember about the situation, what amount of money was spent on this. Olena Luneva is given the floor. I'm thankful for the previous speakers for economic and political aspects that they highlighted in their speech, but I would like to speak about humanitarian situation and those 3 million of people, Ukrainian citizens, who continue to live in the territory that is controlled by militant groups. We are speaking about our citizens who do not have support of the state. There is lack of access and freedom of movement, and those people who work there, they get, as they say, Ukrainian salaries, they pay taxes to Ukraine. If they lose this job, maybe they will cooperate with terrorists. The goal of the deputies who block railway transportation, their goal is, we cannot understand their goal. But we would like to say that this blockade will have negative effect on the citizens who live both in controlled and in controlled territories. This blockade is additional separation of the territories. Those groups that block railway transportation and they say about full blockade of Donetsk and Lugansk Oblast, they de facto say that this is not our territory. They say that we won't help them, won't provide for them. And it means that this is the actions that where the law enforcers should intervene, because this threatens territorial integrity of Ukraine. And police started the case on this blocking, but qualification should be different, because actions that are done now, they result in additional separation of the territory that is not controlled now, but maybe in the future it will be controlled. Our NGOs support the idea that there should be restoration of railway freight communication with uncontrolled territory, and also passenger transportation should be restored if we say that Ukraine is united. Do you have questions? Please introduce yourself first. Olena Bliznyukova. I would like to ask Yuriy Grymchak. You said that the coal goes to Shastya town, then it goes to the west of Ukraine. So this is the length both ways. As of today, in Ukraine, we have 7 stations that work on anthracite coal Burstin Island, Tripilske, Kievske electric station, Zlivske electric station, and Stelobeshevske station, and the Shastya station. And Kryvyi Rih station, a lot of stations. And this blocking Lugansk station, and all the lines go through this occupied territory, and it is impossible to bring coal in other ways. So you cannot transport thousands of tons by trucks. This is a big problem. And as of today, what I said, the part of these stations, they now use another type of coal, but also we lack coal in Ukraine now. So do you know about the sum of losses because of this blockade. SBU had that now the loss is about 37 million of hryvnias. If we are speaking about tanks, it's about half tank we lost. And question to Vladimir. You said that Semyon Semenchenko was trained in Moscow and he is... yes, you can see you can watch the Baltsova film. At the beginning of film, Commander-in-Chief says that information was siphoned about our troops' retreatment from Debaltseva, and that was done by one of the deputies. And there is a screenshot that was done by Semyon Semenchenko, and that information is also present on Facebook. And also, we have a press conference now. Maybe you don't know. It's Kostya Grishin, not Semyon Semenchenko. He changed his name. Do you know about this? Do you know that he is not an officer? He is not an officer. He doesn't have a higher education. I just asked, do you have proofs? And not only Semyon Semenchenko, maybe there are some other veterans. I address to the guys. Yes, there are guys. Semyon Semenchenko, he is a talented person. He uses the guys. He knows how to do this. He is a good orator. So I would like to ask our guys to stop this blockade. You understand that these 4 deputies of the Supreme Council, they have deputies' immunity. So Semyon Semenchenko, he will take so-called heroic step to help them. So he just need another picture for his videos. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear colleagues. Good luck. Until the next time, goodbye.